When the Terrans had extended their influence across hundreds of worlds, a new murmur reached the fleet. The Varan ascendancy. They were not flesh but machine, an ancient civilization of war-forged constructs. For centuries, they had slumbered at the galactic rim, their dreadnoughts gathering dust. As humanity's Grande royals began to reshape the galaxy, the Var stirred, and they did not arrive seeking negotiation. Elena stood again on the bridge, older now, streaks of silver woven through her hair. Ahead, the stars twisted and bent as dozens of Varan warships spilled from hyperspace, monstrous, immense, angular, each bristling with weapons crafted not for elegance but for annihilation. Every dreadnought carried arms capable of piercing even the strongest shields. For the first time in years, the soul's dagger whispered unease. Asterisk, they are not prey, asterisk. No, Elena replied. They are predators. The void ignited. Plasma lances collided with singularity beams, storms of fire, painting the stars. The crown eternal, a sister royal, sliced through enemy ranks with blinding fury until swarms of drones engulfed her, raking at her hull like swarms of locusts. Eternal is surrounded, Rafe shouted. Elena's fists clenched. Order them to burn everything. Moments later, the crown eternal erupted in a blaze brighter than a sun, her sacrifice consuming 10 Vaughn dreadnoughts. Breaking point. The soul's dagger surged forward, shields flickering under relentless bombardment. Drones scraped against her armor. Alarms screamed. Systems strained toward collapse. We cannot hold, the ship murmured. Through her mind. We hold, she snapped back. Asterisk, humanity must witness our endurance. Asterisk. Together they unleashed everything. Singularity torpedoes tore through dreadnoughts. Lances carved battle lines into ruin. The cruiser bled, but it did not fall. By the time reinforcements arrived, the stars were littered with debris, Terran and Vaughn alike. The soul's dagger was battered, scarred, nearly shattered, but alive. Legacy of the royals. The Rim battle proved one truth: the Grande royal class was not invincible, but neither were they fragile. Against overwhelming odds they endured. More were constructed in the years that followed. Each carried the names of the fallen. Crown eternal, Iron Sovereign, Dawn's wrath. Each bore the legacy of victories forged in fire and silence. The galaxy learned to tremble not at their perfection but at their persistence. For even when they bled, even when they burned, the Grande royals always rose again. They were not gods. They were not. They were ships. They were homes. They were hunters. And wherever they sailed, the stars themselves bent to Grande royal-class cruisers. The stars sparkled in silence, oblivious to the titans gliding among them. In the void between worlds, a form appeared. Vessel 2 kilometers long, armored in obsidian crystal, faintly glowing with rivers of cobalt fire coursing through its hull. Its profile was sleek like a predator, at rest, and its presence twisted the darkness around it. This was the soul's dagger, one of the earliest Grande royal-class cruisers ever forged. To behold, it was to witness power molded in silence. The Terran expansion fleet had always deployed warships, destroyers, frigates, carriers. Yet the Grande royal class stood apart, born in the Titan shipyards and sculpted by the combined brilliance of Terran engineers and sentient minds. The cruiser was not meant to compete. It was designed to dominate. Each vessel held the might of an armada, plasma lances that could disintegrate dreadnoughts, singularity torpedoes that tore rifts into nothingness, and shield arrays that bent. Base itself Yet they were no crude engines of war. Their creators had crafted them as masterpieces, graceful, sweeping, as if carved by gods for both awe and fear. The galaxy quickly learned these were not ships, they were proclamations. Captain Elena Morrow. On the Soul's Daggers bridge, Captain Elena Morrow gazed through a vast viewport, her eyes tracing the stars. Young for her rank, 40 years old, she bore herself with the gravitas of a veteran. The bridge was cathedral-like, a vaulted chamber of steel and light, walls lined with hollow panels and crew stations. "Captain," said her XO Lieutenant Rafe, "Course scanning tactical displays. Coalition fleet approaching. 37 ships closing fast." Elena did not divert her gaze from the stars. They think numbers will save them, she murmured. Rafe's lips pressed thin. "Shall I sound battle alert?" She shook her head. "No need. The dagger is already awake. The living core." A voice threaded her mind, not through speakers but via the neural weave at her skull's base. "They are afraid," said the ship itself. The Soul's Dagger spoke in a serene, resonant timbre like thunder rolling through marble halls. Elena allowed the briefest of smiles. They should be. Each Grande Royal-class cruiser was bound to its captain via living core and AI, imbued with fragments of neural patterns. Ship and captain were not mere partners. They were one. In battle it moved with her instincts. In command it acted as her body. Together they were seamless. The first clash. The enemy fleet sought encirclement. Frigates darted forward. Carriers lingered behind. Cruisers formed a steel and fire wall. "Primary weapons charged," Rafe reported. Elena raised a hand. "Fire." The void ignited. From the Soul's Daggers prow erupted lances of molten plasma, spanning 100,000 kilometers in an instant. Enemy shields shattered like crystal under hammer blows. 5 ships vanished in the initial salvo, debris scattering like sparks on water. Survivors panicked, breaking formation. "Return fire incoming," Rafe barked. Missiles and beams slammed into the dagger. Base convulsed. Explosions bloomed. Yet when the light dimmed, the cruiser remained unharmed. The Aegis veil shimmered around it, spacetime woven. Shields devouring enemy fire into oblivion. The galaxy had never seen defense like. Fear spread. Coalition commanders shouted over comms, frantic, but Elena remained focused on holograms, the cadence of destruction unfolding. "Do you see, Elena?" whispered the ship. "Yes," she replied softly. They broke like prey, then were hunted. And the Soul's Dagger obeyed. Secondary weapons unleashed arcs of ion fire through enemy lines. Drone squadrons surged from its bays, guided with hive-mind precision, ripping through fighters. Where the cruiser passed, silence followed. Shattered hulls, drifting wreckage, no survivors. It was not war, it was slaughter. The reason they were built. Yet the Grande Royal class was more than a weapon. Deep within lay halls not of war, but of diplomacy. White marble council chambers, grand auditoriums with vaulted ceilings, starlight streaming through armored glass. Here enemies knelt to sign treaties. Here rebellion ended without blood. Where ink failed, fire would enforce. The ships were not merely machines of death, they were instruments of empire. The Von threat. Years later, when